This man who couldn't even hold a gun hijacked a hospital. Not only did the hostages not resist, but they all cooperated obediently. They even sat down and started a conversation. A white man wanted to stand up to resist, but was violently beaten by the other hostages. Even the released hostages praised the robbers. What is going on? The robber's name was John, and he originally had a happy family of 3. The factory where he worked recently suddenly lowered his wages. John failed to pay his car loan on time, causing the car to be towed away by the bank. His wife was a little unhappy. John wanted to find a part-time job to earn some money, but he didn't expect that there were more than 400 people competing for an ordinary position. It's a pity that John couldn't apply. An even more unfortunate thing happened that day. His son suddenly fainted and fell to the ground while participating in a baseball game. John rushed his son to the hospital. After examination, the doctor found that his son's heart was 3 times larger than that of his peers, which meant that he suffered from heart disease. She has congenital heart disease, and the condition is now serious. A heart transplant must be arranged as soon as possible, otherwise the child may not live for a few days. The doctor's words made the couple collapse immediately. Although the operation is very risky, John still plans to operate on his son, but the cost of the operation is frighteningly high. The treatment will cost at least $250,000. If you want to put name on the transplant list, you need to pay 30% first. The down payment required $75,000, and John's family only had less than $1,000 in savings. Where could he borrow this huge sum of $75,000? The kind nurse told him that he could go to the insurance company or go to Child Welfare Bureau applies for Medicaid. John came to the insurance company, but was told that his insurance did not cover this kind of surgery, and the company could only provide a subsidy of $20,000 at most. When he applied for a bank loan, the staff refused to approve it because the conditions were not met. When he applied for medical assistance, he was also told that the qualifications were not met. John asked very angrily,
"My son is dying, I'm broke. If I don't qualify, who the hell does?"
I'm sorry.
I don't need you to be sorry. I need you to help me.
He wanted to appeal to the insurance company, but was told that it would take 30 days for a result. His son couldn't wait that long, so he borrowed money from all his relatives and friends and sold all the valuable furniture. After a lot of trouble, he was still far from $75,000. He wanted to seek help through the radio station, but the person in charge asked him to leave his phone number, and he has not heard from him since. John sold his diamond wedding ring, and the other party only gave him $90. John had just sold his pickup truck that day when he received a call from his wife at the hospital. Her son was about to be kicked out of the hospital because he had no money to pay for medical expenses. Helpless, John found the attending doctor, hoping to help. He performed the surgery on his son first, and he would find a way to repay the surgery fee later. However, the doctor said that he was just a doctor, and it was not him who had the final say. The doctor was unwilling to agree. John angrily pulled out a gun. The doctor was so frightened that he had to agree to operate on his son first. John locked the emergency room door with a chain, then took control of the entire emergency room with a gun and drove others into the hall. This is definitely something any patient wants to hear.
All right, hey, the hospital's under new management now. Yeah, from now on, free health care for everybody. How's that?
This was unanimously recognized by others. Although John hijacked the hospital, he only wanted the doctor to treat his son and did not intend to harm anyone. Some people didn't know how to get to the hospital, so he patiently told others how to go. When a couple was arguing in the hall, he stepped forward to try to persuade them. Someone was shot and sent to the hospital. He pushed the patient directly into the operating room and asked the doctor to operate on him immediately. This may be the most efficient treatment in the history of the hospital. Not long after, sirens sounded outside the hospital, and soon a large number of police cars surrounded the hospital. The officer radioed John and asked what he needed. John just wanted the baby to be put on the transplant list. The hostages felt hungry, so John used his own money to buy food for them. After everyone relaxed, they chatted. John couldn't understand why the doctors didn't find out that his son had congenital heart disease when he was born. A doctor told the truth. Some insurance companies will pay doctors not to do tests, which can significantly reduce their costs. Not long after, the police chief also came outside. Seeing the media everywhere, he stepped forward to show that he would be sorry for his position. John called the police officer to ask what was going on with the list. The police officers demanded the release of several hostages to show their sincerity. John promised to release the hostages, but he must put his son's name on the list within an hour, otherwise he would start killing the hostages. He selected a pregnant woman and a mother with a child, and when he was about to send them out, a white man took the opportunity to sneak up on John and stabbed him in the shoulder with a pen, and the two immediately started fighting. The white man tried to get someone to help him, but was first insulted and then kicked in the crotch. John released the hostages from the gate, and reporters hurriedly stepped forward to interview the hostages.
Ma'am, do you have any
about the gunman?
Very good man.
The gunman?
Very good man.
In order to ensure the safety of the hostages, the sheriff called in snipers, and if that didn't work, he would take coercive measures. The person in charge of the hospital told the police chief that he must not agree to John's request. Once he agrees to this matter, someone will definitely follow suit in the future. The reporter found John's friend, hoping he could say something to John.
I'm there with you. You take care.
Seeing that the appointed time was coming, the police chief was afraid that John would kill the hostages. In order to keep his position, he planned to take coercive measures. This made the police officer very angry. The two had a fierce quarrel. The police chief angrily suspended the police officer on the spot, turned off the air conditioning system and moved the sniper down the ventilation duct. At this time, John received a call from his wife, and everything about John was under police surveillance. At the same time, hackers at the radio station cracked the police station's system and turned the surveillance footage into a live broadcast. Listening to the conversation between John and his son, the hospital director was moved to tears. It didn't take long for the sniper to arrive at the predetermined location, and the sergeant ordered to shoot immediately. John lay directly on the table. The police chief here just breathed a sigh of relief. John opened his eyes again and saw the sniper's foot missing. He stepped forward and pulled the sniper off. He got on top and beat him violently. Beat? The sergeant was a little panicked now, and then his subordinate told him something that made him even more panicked. Everything they do is being broadcast live across the country. After tying up the sniper, the doctor bandaged John. Fortunately, he only hit his arm. At this time, a large number of people had gathered outside the hospital. When they saw the injured John coming out, everyone was excited. By this time, John had become an adult, the hero in their hearts. John asked to meet with the police officer. This time the police chief was completely humiliated and could only go forward and ask his subordinates to take action.
Come on, I'll buy you a steak. Peking duck. Peking duck. Yeah, let's go.
John held the tied sniper and asked to be replaced by his son. In the cheers of the people, the son was pushed in and the sniper was pushed out. The doctor said that his son was very weak and even if he could save his life, he would not be able to get a transplant without a suitable heart. However, what the doctor didn't know was that John had already planned to give his heart to his son. When he said this, everyone was shocked.
God.
Wow.
Man, that means you'll be dead.
And my son will live.
No, you don't understand. Physically, you can't do this.
Yes, I can. I kill myself. You open me up, you take my heart. It's perfect.
The doctor tried to find a reason to stop John, but at this moment John just wanted to save his child. People were also divided into two groups. Some people thought he was very brave, while others asked him to try to accept the reality.
Oh. No, I don't accept that. Ever. No, I reject that out of hand. I mean, look.
The doctor still disagreed.
So what are you gonna do? You gonna shoot me if I don't operate?
No. I'm gonna kill myself.
He pointed the gun at his head. The doctor wanted to step forward to tell him to calm down, but John put the gun directly into his mouth. He wanted to commit suicide in the hospital, just to wait for a heart transplant to his son. The doctor was moved by his spirit.
All right. I'll do it if that's what you want.
The nurse came forward and advised the doctor to calm down.
What are they gonna do, sue me? Disbar me? Evict me from the country club?
Before committing suicide, John came to his son's room, took off the sling on his arm, and walked up to say his final goodbyes to his son.
You always listen to your mother. You understand? When you say you're gonna do something, you do it. And you stay away from the bad things, son. Please. There's so many great things out there for you. I'm always with you. I love you, son.
After kissing his son, he patted his son reluctantly. At the same time, a miracle happened. A fax came from the hospital, saying that there was a donated heart that matched my son's. The doctor picked up the list and rushed out. At this time, John came to the operating room, took out his pistol and took out the bullets. It turned out that John had never thought of hurting others and had never loaded the gun with bullets from the beginning. John lay on the bed and pointed the gun at himself. It turned out that the insurance was not turned on, and the wife got the information and wanted to notify John through the intercom. John was afraid that his wife would affect him, so he turned off the walkie-talkie, and then pointed the gun at his head. The wife rushed over like crazy with the order. Finally, before John pulled the trigger, his wife arrived at the window in time, and the helicopter sent the heart in time. All the hostages walked out of the hospital, and John knelt on the ground and was captured. The police officer saw that it was not John who was arrested, but he did not say anything, but laughed happily. John was watching his son's surgery outside the operating room. His son's surgery was very successful. Although no hostages were harmed, the hijacking of the hospital had a bad impact. In the end, John may be sentenced to 2 to 3 years in prison. The director did not explain the specific results. This ends the movie, John Q. This movie tells us that we must never be seriously ill or have no money. It will be even more difficult if we are both sick and have no money. Stop talking, I'm going to make money.